the city manager from Mineola. This is my hometown, and we are so proud to have the McFarland reunion here today, this weekend. There's so much going on. This is a wonderful gathering. All people coming from all walks of life to come back home and celebrate, you know, where they came from, how it all started, and just to celebrate the community. So it's great. It's wonderful. We're just so glad for them to have us to be a part of this celebration.
It's a happy day to be in Mineola. You can see from the crowd here, folks are enjoying getting to see each other and reminisce about their memories and see folks they haven't seen for a long time. And we're just happy to have everyone here and have this occasion going on.
Introduce the man at our Kevin White.
This is Mineola Mayor and Mineola alumni Kevin White.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here today. Mineola has such a rich history that the McFarland School is a tremendous part of that. We're happy to be out here today to celebrate the reunion of all those who went to school there. And you can see from the crowd that a lot of people in Mineola have a lot of support for the McFarland School and the graduates from there who went on to become a great part of our community. So we're very happy to be here today.
My name is Mitchell Tuck. I represent Ward 3 in this great city of Mineola. It's good to be here and part of this reunion yet again because you get to see people who have graduated from years and years ago that keep coming home and making this community what it is. So welcome home all the alumni, and let's have a great time. God bless you. What's up, Sheriff?
Not much, sir. How you doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You too, man.
It's good to see everybody. What a turnout today, huh?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, just say something about Mineola and the community. Stay with us.
Okay.
Mineola, and I've been here for almost my entire life, except for little time spent away. But I've known this gentleman here all my life. Known a bunch of these people all my life, and it's great to see a school get back together.
Right.
And the sense of community that we're seeing here today is phenomenal.
It's phenomenal, and you know, the thing about this right here is so many people graduated so many years ago and keep coming home, making Mineola what it is, and giving us a legacy that we have to carry the torch one day. You know, we never would have thought that we would have the old McFarland School now as a center and an important location of this community, that where people can come and have family reunion, can have parties. It's just absolutely wonderful.
I just want to say that we are thrilled that this marker is in place and that it recognizes a significant place where this community gathered as youth and now can remember as not youth.
Yeah, you know, when we think about the Bar 20, I can go back to my kid days where I almost was not old enough to come over here when they had parties. But I remember the time we can come over and get good barbecue because they were known for barbecue sandwiches. So this is a memorable day. I remember my sisters and brothers coming over here and having a good time and dancing. But what I remember, because I was too young to come, I just remember getting this good barbecue from Hope Bright.
Well, and I have heard lots of good stories about the Bar 20.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Angela Albers, and I'm the District Attorney for Wood County, and it is my privilege and delight to be out here today to meet all these wonderful people and to learn some more of the history of our wonderful county.
Okay, this is Matthew Greer. We're here in Mineola this morning for another celebration of McFarland School. We have all the graduates here. We just left the parade, and we are planning on going to the old school ground for a picnic and socializing. And tonight is the big affair, the big banquet, so we got people coming from everywhere. It's a function at the junction.
My name is Joe Tave, and I was born and raised in Mineola, Texas, and I am a second cousin of Rufus Cornelius Hickman, commonly referred to or known as R.C. Hickman, who was also born and raised in Mineola, Texas, and I was privy to be a part of the unveiling of a historical marker in Mineola. I believe it was July the 13th during our McFarland High School 2019 school reunion, and in doing so, there were a large number of folks who were present, both black, white, And there were people from Tyler, of course, people from Mineola and people from Tyler and elsewhere who had come to visit with us to support our reunion, and certainly a large number of folks who were there just for the unveiling of the historical marker. And R.C. Hickman's grandmother and my grandmother were sisters. So that's the family and genetic ties as far as the Tave family with the Hickman, and they were both Andersons. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and read the information that is contained here on the marker presented by the Texas Historical Commission, the state of Texas, in honor of Rufus Cornelius Hickman. African-American photographer Rufus Cornelius Hickman, born 1918 and died in 2007, recorded African-American life in Dallas in the Jim Crow and Civil Rights Movement eras. His mother, Cora Hickman, ran a popular African-American social spot called Bar 20 at the site in the 20th century. Born in 1918 in Mineola, R.C. Hickman attended Tillerson College, later Houston-Tillerson University in Austin, and then enlisted in the Army in 1942. While stationed in Saipan, Japan, Hickman learned photography and became an Army photographer. After World War II, Hickman enrolled in the Southwest School of Photography and Mortuary Science under the GI Bill. After graduating, Hickman began his professional career as a photographer with the Dallas Star-Post. He worked for several newspapers, including the Dallas Express and the Kansas City Call. He photographed African Americans' everyday life and significant moments in the civil rights movement in the Dallas-Fort Worth area between 1945 and 1970. He photographed the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, Youth Council's protest of the Texas State Fair in 1955. After Brown versus Board of Education of Topeka, the 1954 Supreme Court decision that declared segregated schools unconstitutional, the NAACP enlisted Hickman to document the inequalities between white and black schools in Texas. In 1956, Hickman captured the failed desegregation of the Mansfield schools while white Texans attempted to harm Hickman. He managed to photograph the mock lynching of effigies of African American students in Mansfield. Through his work, Hickman captured several decades of African American struggles, successes, and everyday life, highlighting their humanity and documenting their history.
I'm so happy that my son Josh is here. I'm excited that he's catching this mantle of history, period, but more so with the African American history, because everybody needs a successor. I appreciate his enthusiasm and his drive to learn more about history, and because one day Daddy gonna be gone, but he's gonna be still carrying that legacy of a historian and searching out history, and he can take it. He's taking it a lot further than I am, but he had the opportunity to go with us to the Tulsa, Oklahoma, to Black Wall Street, and then he's with us again today. So, son, what you think about it?
Oh, I love it, and I like to take the mantle of self-proclaimed historians, and it's something that what the family has done throughout the generations, and I love it. Yeah.
I'm Stanley Cofer with the Texas African American Museum, and I'm in Mineola, Texas, and we are right around the property where there was a club, I believe, or something like that, Bar 20, but I don't know the history. That's why I'm going to let these guys tell you about the history in this area and about all of this spot over here.
So tell them about the
My name is Joe Epperson, and I just live around the corner from the Bar 20. The Bar 20 was a place that all us youngsters got together, and we had Miss Corey Hickman, who used to be the lady that run it and cook hamburgers and stuff like that, and she kind of really kept us in line by taking. She really kept all us youngsters in line, and it was just a place for us to get off of the street and enjoy ourselves. And I'm not much of a speaker, but I left home in '55 going into the armed forces, and every once in a while we just come back and visit. But back to the Bar 20. It was a place that the youngsters would come down from different places like Quitman, Texas, and Lindale, but we would run all the men out at that time because they'd always come in. We thought they was headed after our girls.
All right.
But I don't know what else to say other than I remember it real well because I used to spend a lot of time in here.
Why do they call it Bar 20?
That I do not know.
My name is Hayward Epperson, and I guess listen what Joe had said. It's correct about the Bar 20. This is where everybody spent their time. Sunday after going to church, this would be the final place where we would end up, come down, listen to some music, and have fun. It was just a really hang out, and for young kids, it was the only place that we had to hang out and enjoy ourselves. And most of the time, it was just the people in this area, and we had two parts of Mineola. This was, I don't think we ever called it east or west side, but this side, we call it this side of town, the highway, and the other side of town. But everybody would meet here, and we had fun, and we even had some brawls, created some problems, but we either settled it here, but most of the time we all left in good standing and having fun and enjoying ourselves.
I'm Stanley Cofer. I'm with the Texas African American Museum. I'm here in Mineola, Texas at the McFarland school campus. The community center is next door, and we are in the gym. I must say I'm really impressed because a lot of times these structures don't sustain themselves. You know, I'm from Moore Station area, and our gym is no longer, it's all in shambles. But I'm really impressed for what y'all have done to keep the history alive here in Mineola. So it's a pleasure to meet you and have met your cousin. So I'm gonna give you all the mic and let you spill your what you love about Mineola, what you love about McFarland, and just whatever you like to share.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Rosalind Walton Russell. I am an alumni of this school. It's called Addie E. McFarland. Well, it's not Addie E. McFarland. The school was named after Miss McFarland at McFarland High School. And the school carries threefold. Number one, basically the history of the school came first. The first school that started was South Ward, then Mineola Colored High School, and then Addie E. McFarland. I believe South Ward started around 1889, and then in the 40s came Mineola Colored School. And we didn't have a high school at the time, so they went to Quitman. So now McFarland originated around 1950.
Okay.
So that's basically the background of this place. Now in 1965, the school had to be integrated. The first class integrated in 1966. By then I was gone. I graduated in 1964. This building here was named L.C. Gregory Complex, Athletic Complex. Now, the person that bought this school was initially up for sale, and a man over in Lindale by the name of Mays bought the whole school property for $5,000. and it was a loss to us. And later on, a gentleman by the name of Timothy Hancock, who is also an alumni of here, he bought this property for $25,000 from the same man. And later, he donated it to the community and handpicked certain people to oversee it. I was one of those people. And we established the Addie E. McFarland Foundation. And the building next to this is the Addie E. McFarland Community Center, and the gymnasium is L.C. Gregory Athletic Complex. Now that's basically the background. Back in 1983, we started, there was a committee, a group of people who wanted to have a reunion to get together because we all missed each other. So in 1982, we established a reunion committee, and 1983, we had our first biannual reunion. And I did a little calculation not too long ago. We've had, that's been about 26 years and 19 reunions biannually.
I got you.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm Gloria Washington, the Executive Director of the Texas African American Museum, located here in Tyler, Texas, and we're located at 3000 North Border Avenue. And today we have a special guest with us, all the way from Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas, by way of DeSoto, Texas, by the way of Mineola, Texas.
Yes, more directly, Dallas, Texas, and Mineola, Texas. DeSoto is just where I worked and taught school, but I would say Mineola, Dallas. Okay.
So, with that information, I would just like to have this young man introduce himself and give us some information about himself.
Okay. Well, my name is Joe Tave. I was born and raised in Mineola, Texas, and I graduated from McFarland High School in Mineola. And of course, that conjures up special memories of being in the old Prairie View UIL conference with places like ARP and Troop and Hawkins and Quitman and Elysianville and Wascom, and it just goes on and on because we were a small single A school. But I just had to put that in because those memories still linger with me from playing football and basketball and other UIL activities. But I finished from McFarland High School in 1965, and I enrolled as a freshman at Wiley College at Marshall, Texas. So I spent 1 year there, and then I transferred to the East Texas State University at Commerce, which is currently named Texas A&M University at Commerce. Right. So I spent the other 3 years there, so I completed my bachelor's and master's degree at East Texas State University at Commerce.
That's a good transition.
Okay.
Right. So as we move on a little farther, can you tell us where your last employment was and a little information as to what you did before you retired and where you were a couple of weeks ago?
Okay. All right. Well, I retired after having spent 6 years teaching at DeSoto High School in DeSoto, Texas, and that was pretty much it. And then I went ahead and retired, and then 2 weeks ago, I was at Mineola for the Addie McFarland High School 26th biannual school reunion. Okay, school reunion. Yeah, we commenced with that activity in 1983. Okay. And it was all school and whatever. So anyway, so that's where I was 2 weeks ago. And Addie McFarland, for whom the high school was named, I remember her. Well, she was a longtime teacher there at Mineola, but I remember her more on a personal level because, for some reason, she really loved my father, and my father was kind of a jack of all trades. He could do electrical work, plumbing, just whatsoever, and he was always doing odds and end jobs for Miss McFarland. And so I remember her being certainly a white-haired, a gray-haired, a mom-like, and stuff, and going to her home and visiting. And she always called my father Tack Tave, and I never figured out why she called him Tack.
What was the significance of that?
Well, I don't know. I never got a chance to get that clarified. And then even some of the folks who would know at this point in time, they're gone,
deceased, right?
They're deceased and stuff. So anyway, we would go over, and aside from going to her house, she had this house. She had all these antiques and whatever in there that was always of interest, just like the African American Museum that I've had a chance to. Yes, I've had a chance to visit here since I've been here, But one thing that really attracted me a great deal about going over, I've always had a keen sense of history, it seems. So she had this 19-something Model T automobile, and she kept it in this garage, and it just sat there for years and years.
Did she have the one that you had to get in front of it and crank it? Turn the crank?
This would have been what this was, because this was the early model that she had owned.
Right. Oh, okay.
That she had owned, and stuff. And so, and I do believe every now and then somebody would drive it, and so which was a sight to see. But I always enjoyed being around there to ask her if I could go and look at that. But she was like I said, a long-time educator in Mineola, and then the schools was South Ward High School, Mineola Colored School, and then South Ward, and then I believe maybe 1951, 2, 3, someplace right in there, the school board changed the name to Eddie McFarland, and then of course
was that the high school?
The school was a conglomerate of the elementary, middle school, and high school.
Okay.
Yes. So during that time, a lot of the smaller communities, everything was there on campus.
Right in one location.
Yes, elementary, middle school, and high school, and so we just always reference it as McFarland High School.
Okay.
Or Mineola. McFarland Schools.
McFarland Schools. Okay.
Yes. So that's as much as I remember. She was a thin lady, a real light-skinned lady, and had real fine hair, and it was white, and whatever. I was not taught by her, but she was always around and visiting, and because we had a village. We really had a village that raised and contributed to everything. So people talk about this now, but we truly had a village. And aside from that village in Mineola, East Texas had some strange characteristics too about how people related and cared for each other. We had teachers. Most of our teachers lived in Tyler.
Okay, and they travel from Tyler to Mineola,
and they would stay there during the week, and then would come home like on the weekends, or maybe come home on Wednesdays or something like that.
Okay.
So all of just about 80% of our teachers lived in Tyler, and those teachers had relatives or brothers or sisters that taught, whether it was in Kilgore or Karnak or whatever, and so there was always these activities that took place between and amongst us, and everybody shared and everybody cared.
Everybody cared about each other.
Yes, and so East Texas was a very unique place
to live. Yeah. So, can you name for us some of the teachers from Tyler that transferred over to Mineola to teach classes or teach school there in Mineola? Can you name some of the teachers?
Yes, I think I can do a fairly decent job at that.
You can remember some of them, huh?
Yeah, I can remember some of them. Our head football coach and dean of men, or what do you want to call him at this time, was Leonard Charles Gregory, L.C. Gregory, and he and his wife Grace Gregory. Miss Grace passed here in Tyler some few years ago. Probably not. I'm thinking not more than 5, but her name was Grace Gregory.
I am learning so much history from this young man about Tyler, Texas, and about Mineola, Texas, and especially about some of the teachers and some of the coaches. So can you give us a little more information about some of the teachers and coaches that travel to Mineola to teach?
Yes. I think I mentioned Coach L.C. Gregory, Leonard Charles Gregory. He and his wife, Grace, she taught in Tyler ISD. But anyway, they lived here, and then he was in Mineola the whole week, and he was our head football coach and dean of men, as he was referenced, yes, because of his relationship to the students, and you could go to him for pretty much any and everything. Then we didn't have, of course, we didn't have a nurse, whatever. So, but he filled that role, and then there was a lady that was considered like the dean of women or girls or whatever.
The females could go
talk with. Yes. So L.C. Gregory from Tyler, Miss S.C.J. Carr from Tyler. She taught math. Willie Wilburn from Tyler. He was our band director and taught other classes. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure that Mr. Travis July. I believe he may have lived in Tyler, but he was originally from Jacksonville,
Texas.
Yes, Jacksonville, Texas. But I do believe his home was here in Tyler. And let's see, Miss Wynn. I'm about to forget her first name. Miss Erlene Pinkerton Wynn. So she taught in Mineola and lived in Tyler, out in the Starville community. Right. And then our principal for years, I.W. Whitmore, he had a home in Mineola, but he also had a home here in Tyler. It's not very far from Texas College. Okay. And but he lived pretty much in Mineola, and they would just come to this home. I think a property that maybe his father, grandfather, somebody had owned who worked at Texas College. Let's see here.
So are any remnants from the McFarland School still there in Mineola?
Oh, yes, absolutely. The Mineola School District, school board, sold 19 acres of land and 4 buildings to a guy named George May, I believe, MEA. He's a rose magnate here in the Tyler and Lindale area. They sold him 19 acres of land and 4 buildings for $7,000. And so he used it to store roses and crates and every building that he could. And then at some point in time, he raised the high school building that sat right in the center. So he raised that and hauled everything off. And somebody was able to get the cornerstone. And it should be in Mineola there, but we better find it pretty quickly, because like the family that had it, I think it's just one individual of them that's left, and so she's sickly. But anyway, and so aside from that, and then I had a brother named Otis Tave, and he of course he worked here at Train and Tyler with GE and then Train for like 36 years, and did some preaching locally, and he and his wife lived here in Tyler, but excuse me. But he went to George May and asked him about using the old gym property to start his church. Oh, and so May told him that he could do so, didn't charge him anything. So my brother went in and got the electricity working again, the plumbing and stuff. And so and it was a club at one time along the way, but and then finally a gentleman from Mineola, he and his wife, Tim Hancock. Anyway, he bought the property from May. I don't know what it is that he paid for it. All the acreage, and at that time it was just 2 buildings left: the elementary building and the gym. And what have you. And so he bought the property from May. Like I said, I don't know what he paid for it, but he turned around and he donated the property, and they set up the McFarland Foundation. Wow. Yes, it's my McFarland Foundation. And then this white gentleman, his name was Meredith, last name was Meredith, he had revolutionized an offshore drilling bit when he worked for Hughes Tool. He was born and raised in Mineola and stuff like that. And so he became very, very wealthy. Of course, inventing this tool. Yes, and so all that money concentrated right there. I mean, there were millions. This is way back and stuff. So anyway, the Merit Foundation, he died, but he had set aside money, and he wanted money to go
Like a trust fund.
The trust fund to help all of Mineola, and that included us. So anyway, the Merit Foundation, I think to date has contributed $1 million for the restoration of the buildings, air conditioning, and whatsoever.
Now, is this building or these buildings on pier and beam, or they're on concrete foundation?
They're on concrete foundation because they were built in the late. The gym was built in the late 50s.
Okay.
And then the elementary building earlier, of course. But anyway, so yeah, so those two buildings are there. So not only do we have our reunions there, people rent the facilities for family reunions and whatever, and they come from not just Mineola, but all over
Yes.
to utilize those facilities. And I'm certainly proud of that fact.
Yes.
Because like we were able to hold on to something, because all of our records, everything that indicates that we ever had a school is gone.
Yes.
Yeah, because like once they sold the properties, to this guy, they just left all of our school records and everything there.
Wow.
And to the elements.
So were they able to be saved? Did y'all save any of the records?
I think maybe just a few people got some things, and that was it. So all of our records from way back in the 30s, as far as the school was lost, gone forever.